I wish I would have danced more when I had the chance, you know? It's not like I'm not dying. My limbs still work. I didn't forget how to do the cha-cha slide.
Everybody clap your
I don't even
hands.
really care about like the practice of dance. I spent a lot of time, and I mean like a lot of time, limiting myself and my passions based on more or less the reaction that I think I'll get from other people. And, that worms its way into a hell of a lot more than just bumping and grooving on the dance floor. Like, I've been trying to write videos for almost a decade now, and I've scripted and re-scripted a dozen or so introductory videos that basically just amount to me apologizing for existing in the first place. And like, I only get so many decades, right? So I feel like dance is a good lens to kind of view that internal turmoil through, because it really seems like one of the purest forms of self-expression. And I feel like if I can get comfy doing that, on camera with an audience no less, then I don't know, I kind of feel like I would be unstoppable at that point, right? So I recently rewatched 2015's The End of the Tour. It's an adaptation of the book by a different name, which recounts a road trip interview with the author David Foster Wallace as the tour for his novel Infinite Jest draws to a close. Wallace in the film presents this kind of strange duality where he's capable of pinpointing and then communicating exactly the way in which people interact and navigate the world and his own place in it, while at the same time seems to be confined by the minutia within that, like whether or not his mere attendance at events makes him look self-absorbed, or how people he's never met might question his choice of headgear, for example. You have this guy who is simultaneously so in tune with the human condition, yet so seemingly enslaved by how others perceive him. But like David Foster Wallace was a real dude with real talents and real struggles, and this certainly isn't the place to sum up his existence. The film itself doesn't have much of anything to do with dancing anyway. That is until the end of the tour, when David laces up his boots, goes out into the Illinois tundra, and makes his way to a dusty church where he will dance amongst the townsfolk like nobody's business. And the scene really hits me because throughout the whole story, we see this guy who's constantly stressing about his own public image and self-worth, kind of worried that people won't see him the way he sees himself. But that doesn't stop him from dropping by the local Baptist church on the regular, I might add, and freaking boogieing down. And I feel like I need that freedom in my life. To be fair, I don't know if Wallace himself actually boogied. He mentions doing the jerk and the swim. Is that like a... I don't know. I'm not going to look it up. I graduated high school this same year, the end of the tour released, and while I didn't come across the film until sometime later, I bring up high school because for a lot of people, or at least for myself, it's around the time that two nice little circles intersect. Wherein I am at once maximally self-conscious of everything that I do, and also constantly surrounded by the gaze of hundreds of my peers. What a time to be alive. I won't say I did zero dancing back in high school. I had a long-term girlfriend for the latter years, and while you wouldn't know her because she went to the same school, we did attend the dances. Though the lights were low and the music was mostly bangers, I myself was more so a slowly imploding mass of anxiety and sweat, only really busting out the odd wacky dance move here and there to get like an easy laugh for the goofiness of it all. But I sure didn't let myself dance. I felt like at the time, if anyone really saw me go into town, like I'd never hear the end of it. But there's this great video from Hank Green, who is around 50% of the Vlogbrothers duo, if this is the first YouTube video you've ever watched, where he really kind of turns that assumption on its head, and it's one that's really stuck in my brain for a long time. The video itself is called the 10 most important words a stranger ever said to me. And if that's not enough for you to go watch it, it's like 4 minutes long and it's linked down below. So go check that out first. But since you're not going to, I'll kind of spark notes it here. Basically, he's at this dance as a wee lad, and he's watching this kind of nerdy kid dance a bit muchly. And he gets embarrassed by it. He gets, a bit of what the kids call cringe. And that is until this older girl beside him offers up the 10 most important words in question. She goes, I know, I wish I could dance like him too.
Like, what?
You're never going to get the chance to be inside the noggins of everyone around you, but I promise that for each person who gets embarrassed when you're being yourself, someone else out there is going to think you're the bee's knees, right? And those are the kind of people whose opinions I really care about. Someone who sees these bee's knees, please. But I feel like I was raised on the cinema of awkward dance,
Down, 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 dance. Nothing else I need to do about dance. All these many times I'm going through just Johnny right. Trying to put the radio, but the hearts is not know.
Like, can you blame me for wanting a piece of that for myself? Ugh, I hate this whole section. I want to look at dancing not in the sense of being talented or trained or even attracting the attention of an onlooker, but just in the sense of disregarding that Venn diagram, a sort of dance like no one's watching, if I was going to coin a new phrase. Because the truth is, people are always going to be watching, right? If you're going to be yourself outside of your bubble, you've got to accept a few onlookers. And it has to be okay to look silly or novice or downright embarrassing, because if we can't start there, we're not going to get very far at all. Which is not to say that you can't appreciate and strive for skill and talent in your craft. I'm not personally versed in the dance world, but I get a drip feed every now and then from Instagram, and there's this one person, Marie-Louise Hertog, who is absolutely a beast when it comes to actual dancing. But I often think back to this tweet that you've probably seen if you spend too much time online, that reads, pretty shitty how baseline human activities like singing, dancing, and making art got turned into skills instead of being seen as behaviors. So now it's like the point of doing them is to get good at them, and not this is a thing that humans do the way that birds sing and bees make hives. And sure, I hope birds take pride when they chirp birdsong Beethoven, and bees get a little bee high five when they construct the honeycomb Hagia Sophia, but I don't think that's why they do it, right? I'm not an expert on birds and bees, so don't quote me on this. And you would think for someone coming up on their 10-year high school reunion, I would have figured this out already. But even to this day, my dancing in public is a far cry from that of Tron Travolta and Thuma Erman in Reservoir Dogs. Yeah, pop culture heads, I know my stuff. At best, I'll get down while fairly intoxicated, and at worst, I'll sway along uncomfortably to the music for the sake of my friends, whom I love very much. But alone in my room, or in front of just the cats, you get the right song going, and I am in it. Headphones in, white people wedding music, and I will jam with truly reckless abandon. And I imagine most people have gone through something similar, or at least I hope so, because god damn it, sometimes it just really makes you feel alive, truly unapologetically alive. And I won't try to explain the nuances of why we dance. It's better felt than heard anyway, But if you're not ready to dance for others, please at least dance for yourself. You don't have to be good at it. You don't even have to have music, but I'll link some bops down below if you need a reminder. And I think a lot of people really do need a reminder sometimes. Like before I met my
exquisite and wonderful
partner, she was a prolific recorder of silly bedroom dancing videos. And like you could tell she was in it. She was just a spontaneous, unabashed goofball, limb swinging wildly to her favorite songs. And I asked her recently why she never seems to make that kind of thing anymore, why she doesn't do a lot of dancing in general. And she just kind of said, I don't know, isn't it just kind of
cringe.
No! God, please, no!
Like that just crushes me inside. Because no, in fact, that silly dancing absolutely lit up my life. And I could tell it lit up hers at the time too. I mean, you don't do silly fun things for the few who will shut you down. You do silly fun things for yourself, and the right people are going to adore you for it anyway. Right? I got one more story before I go. I actually attended a good friend's wedding not too long ago, and I found myself kind of in awe of this mustachioed man around my age, like getting down on the dance floor. And to be clear, he was good at it, but he was also going at least 300% harder than everybody else trying to sheepishly shimmy and sway out there. And in between songs, when he is dripping with sweat, taking a quick breather, getting ready to get back into it, somebody just kind of asks him bluntly, like, why are you dancing with so much gusto? And he kind of chuckles at that a bit, and he just goes, well, I have to, man. It's just way too fun. Like, yeah, man, yeah. I'm tired of limiting my life based on the way that I assume other people are going to react. Sometimes I want to dance. Sometimes I want to sing poorly to the radio. Sometimes I want to make silly videos and post them online. And I want to be okay with the fact that some people are going to be put off by that. Like, it's just not worth it to not be yourself, So I'm going to try. I'm going to dance a little more and worry a little less. And I hope you'll join me, because it's going to be a lot more fun if you're out there too, But yeah, thanks for watching. You guys didn't think I wasn't gonna dance, right? Like, I couldn't do that to you. Of course I'm gonna dance. I can't talk the talk and not walk the walk. Do I feel confident about it? God, no. Am I gonna do it anyway? Hell yeah. I mean, it's just the internet, so like, if I regret it horribly, it's not like I can't just get rid of all traces of the evidence, right? Anyway.